Oh, look, Joe. Now, look. I want a big one.
Over-the-shoulder boner holder.
Hey, Scott, I'm glad to see you survived Christmas.
Oh, man. Still not any less busy. Very much got the holiday hangover thing going on. And not a literal, like, I drank too much, because I really didn't drink anything this holiday, but it's really more of a, oh, Jesus Christ, just trying to catch up and no rest for the weary, man.
See, we had the best Christmas ever. My wife may not agree, but I did because I have none of that stress. We literally, this year, we turned it all the way down to, we practically turned Jewish. Right before Christmas, we went and turned Jewish.
You converted?
Like, we had a Christmas tree. Amy decorated the house. Like, she's amazing at it. But that was it. We didn't do gifts. This was the first year that we decided, let's just not do gifts. Let's just not do gifts. They're stressful. Let's try it out. And I loved it. I mean, at the end of it, we looked at each other and we said, this is kind of weird, but it was so much easier.
Yeah, this was definitely a low-key Christmas for us, too. But it was like everything. So we did, like, Friday night, I spent time with my parents. Saturday night, my mom's birthday. Sunday night, like Christmas Eve, over at my aunt's place. Sunday, it was just like kids were up at 7 a.m., which is pretty normal for a typical daily schedule for them. Like, they have to get on the bus by 7:40. So them getting up at 7, it's not like they were up at the ass crack of dawn wanting to open up presents or anything. But presents at our house from like 7 till like 7:30. And then it was like, okay, now what? Then it was like over to my parents' house for breakfast at 10:30. Then we were home from there by like 2 o'clock. Really didn't do anything with the in-laws this year. Watched some football. Eagles game came on at 4. Dude, I was in bed by 9. Like, it wasn't like we were running all over the place like we have in years past. Like, trying to do my family, trying to do her family, trying to make everybody happy. That really wasn't even going on. So it was pretty low key. I can't say we didn't do presents, but I can definitely tell you that we've reached a different point in life where my most exciting gift is a toothbrush.
Did you really get a toothbrush?
It was a toothbrush that I actually asked for, though. It's like one of those like electric toothbrushes that like hooks up to an app on my phone, so it tracks my brushing routines and how hard I'm pressing on my teeth.
Oh,
and
wow.
are you hitting all the air? It's a pretty high tech toothbrush, so I'm glad I got it. It's certainly the thing I gotten the most use out of since Monday morning. But besides that, and my brand new desk chair here that I'm comfortably sitting in, it's been a pretty low key Christmas, man.
You didn't get a podcasting chair like I recommended?
I mean, it's a chair I'm sitting in and I'm podcasting, so it's a podcasting chair as far as I'm concerned.
When I first started playing PC games, everyone was like, here's how you get better. You get a PC gaming chair. And then I realized they were all fucking trolling me. That doesn't make you better.
Bullshit.
So I was trying that gag on you. You got to get a podcasting chair. It'll make your podcast better.
Are there really things marketing as podcast chairs?
No, I made it up. If they are, they're making money on my IP. I own that patent.
It sounded like marketing bullshit, but no, just a desk chair, little swivel action. Got some arms on here that go up and down. No, good to go, man.
Hey, everybody. This is what I usually do in the beginning, Scott, but I'm going to do it now. Welcome to Too Much CGI, the show where we talk about all kinds of pop culture geekery, both retro and today. To listen to us for free, all you have to do is tell one friend. That's all you got to do. That's the fee to listen for free. If not, we come to your house, we find you, and Scott tickles you. Tickle, tickle, tickle. Tickle, 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 tickle. All right, we got that out of the way. I decided this year I'm going to try to be less negative. I'm actually in a very good mood because I got through Christmas. And, you know, I was pretty negative the last few episodes. I want to be totally different, kick off with a much better spirit. But I'm looking at the agenda, and next on it is Dead Celeb, and I'm like, oh, man, see, that's exactly the problem.
Yeah, people don't stop dying, though.
How am I ever going to do a positive agenda here? Yes, so I wrote, and I must have done this really on the fly. I wrote Dead Celeb of the Week, a Smother Brother. I didn't even look up which one it was.
I think it was Tom Smothers.
So I did see a picture of him. I always forget their names. He's the goofier looking one, and he's the funnier one. Like they're kind of like a Laurel and Hardy act. They got the goofy one, and then they got the straight man. Did you ever watch them?
I remember seeing them on like Laugh-In or like variety
Yeah.
shows like that back in the day. I mean, the thing that sticks with me the most is that the one dude was like incredible with a yo-yo, and like that was always
Right.
a very enviable thing for me because like I used to like yo-yo a lot and I got good, but never as good as him. I mean, his showmanship with yo-yo was incredible.
Cause I was a yo-yo.
Could you walk the dog?
Oh, I could walk the dog. I could do the cradle thing. I could do different shapes like the Eiffel Tower or the rocket or the star with the string. I got really good at it. Yeah.
What about the over-the-shoulder boulder holder?
I got better with that later in life.
There you go. Hey now. Yeah, I don't remember a whole lot about Smothers Brothers. They were old when they came onto my radar at about 7. So hearing that they just died, I went, huh, they weren't dead for 30 years? It was one of those.
I kind of felt the same way. And I was like, how old was this guy? Like 90? And I was like, oh, 74. Like they must have been a lot younger than I thought they were back in the day. Because you're right. They were like, there was always like the straight man, and like the one was a little bit goofier than the other one. And it was very much like a vaudeville act than it was like modern comedy back in those days.
Yeah, man, that's crazy that people right now are going, oh, the Smothers Brothers. I remember them. And so many more people are going, the what? The who? Yeah.
They were like somebody you'd see like as a guest on the Muppet Show or
Right.
something. Like it was always like a variety show type. Did they have like a Smothers Brothers comedy hour? That sounds like something I remember.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. That does sound familiar. Yeah, I think they had their own show.
Okay. But I was like way too young to understand what I was seeing. But that guy broke out a yo-yo. I was like, oh shit, I'm here for this.
I don't know how to transition out of a dead celebrity. Hey, you watching anything good on TV?
Here's something. This is kind of a segue out of that. I've been watching a lot of classic holiday movies, a lot of like classic. And I say holiday because these things I've learned are not Christmas movies. While wrapping Christmas gifts the one day, I decided I'm going to watch It's a Wonderful Life. I never really saw the entire movie of It's a Wonderful Life. I knew that it was about a guy that ran a building and loan, and he wanted to kill himself, and an angel came down, and like I saw parts of it. I knew there was Clarence, and I knew it was George Bailey, and I knew it was played by what's his name
Jimmy
from
Stewart.
Rear Window,
Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart, who of course I know from Rear Window of Hitchcock, which was a much bigger film in my opinion. And like people talk about this as like the quintessential Christmas movie, like this and Miracle on 34th Street. And like I watched it and I was like, this isn't even a Christmas movie. Like it goes on for 2 hours and like maybe the last 10 minutes take place at Christmas time. Everything else is, flashbacks and it has nothing to do with Christmas at all. And it's like he's trying to, be the nice guy to help out the downtrodden town folk and protect them from the predatory banker. And it was just like, this isn't a Christmas movie. And then like I swear it was just like a movie that they had written, and it was like, oh hey, we're gonna release this at Christmas time. Let's make it around Christmas. We can call it a Christmas movie. But in my opinion, no more a Christmas movie than what Die Hard is.
I've actually never seen that movie. And to me, Jimmy Stewart is like the Smother brother. I don't know much about him except that Rear Window movie, which I did see, which is amazing. But he's at that level that's right. That movie's at that level, right below my consciousness. The only reason I know anything about Jimmy is the impression of him by Dana Carvey from Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch, your monkey bit me. That sounded more like a bad Sean Connery.
No, I mean, like, it was funny in seeing it now for the first time from beginning to end that, like, oh, this is what they were parodying in this movie, or this is what they were parodying in this show I watched, or this is where this character comes from, that they were making fun of this. And, like, I never got the connection. But now that I've seen the thing in full, which I really don't feel like I was missing out on anything all this time. Like, I don't think this is like a classic where it's like, oh, how haven't you seen this? It's not like I was missing Citizen Kane or anything. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like a life-changing pivotal movie. Now I can say I've seen it, and it's like, yeah, so what? Another thing I was watching along the same lines, I may have shared this before. There's much family controversy about this within my family. I watch White Christmas. We watch White Christmas every year with Bing Crosby and Danny fucking K, as they say. And I got to tell you, I don't feel it's a Christmas movie. I know it's in the title. I know it's more of like again, a variety show that really highlights the tap dancing of the one girl and the singing of Rosemary Clooney and of course the singing of Bing Crosby and stuff like that. But it's more of a war movie, and then they go to Vermont, and Vermont's not snowing, and there's like an army captain that they used to serve under that owns this inn that's downtrodden, so they put a show on for him. And yet it happens to be a Christmas show because of the time of year it is, but it's really not like this transformative Christmas movie. So I say it's not a Christmas movie. My brother and my dad fully disagree because how could it not be a Christmas movie? It says Christmas in the title, and like, I don't care. I stand by it. White Christmas, not a Christmas movie.
I dozed off 12 times just you describing it. Yeah, that is not my type of movie.
Yeah, and like the other thing with these movies, like I feel like, you know how like in the 80s, like all movies were an hour and a half?
Yeah.
I feel like all these movies are like 2 hours plus. Like I'm surprised going back how long the runtime of these things are.
There was a point where I went back to look at all these old movies because I was like, I want to be a film historian. I couldn't get very far. You know, you see the Maltese Falcon, you see Casablanca, you see Citizen Kane, you see,
Yeah.
a couple more noir films and other films, and they're great, but a lot of them are such boring films. Otherwise, they're just clearly
Yeah.
stage plays with a camera smacked in front of them. And I don't really love plays unless the dialogue is as interesting as Quentin Tarantino or somebody modern like that. I don't really like old, scripts. They just aren't my thing. Just like I wouldn't expect
Yeah.
the kid right now to think that Gremlins was great or something like that. They should,
Yeah.
but they may not because they didn't grow up with this kind of thing. They're going to look at Gremlins and go, "That's all Muppets and puppets, and that's stupid to me." Yeah, these things all have a time and place.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, that's a sad thing to think about, but I feel like there's almost too many words in old movies. Like you're right, there's dialogue, but like so many words compared to what you get in like dialogue between movies today. Like, and I think that may go back to, the fact that it probably was a stage show. It was more of a theatrical or vaudeville type performance that they just translated or transitioned over to a screenplay.
Hmm. Talk about too many words. I tried Barbie again yesterday. It came to
Okay,
yeah, it
yeah.
came to Max. I said I watched it once. I was a little bit too stoned. I was kind of zoning out. Didn't get it at all. Said let me try it again when I'm not stoned. Dude, I still didn't get it. It was just super long. Like what was the main purpose? There was a lot of little things that you were, supposed to notice and go, "Oh, wow, that's a trait, that's a trait, that's a dig, that's a." But was there like a main thread throughout? I couldn't make it through.
Yeah.
What is the main thread that the audience is supposed to walk away with in that movie?
I don't know. I feel like they wanted to make a statement and they did make some statements. They said some things in there, but then like I won't say they walked them back, but like they didn't club you over the head with them. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, is there like the patriarchy? And they talk about the patriarchy. Yeah, but then they show like the CEO of Mattel and he's like, well, it ain't really that much easier for me. So it was kind of like maybe the grass isn't always greener kind of thing. And maybe it's no one's fault. Maybe it's society. Maybe, I don't really know exactly what they were trying to get across, but I do feel in talking to different people about the movie, different people got what they wanted out of it. Whatever it is they're looking for, they can find it in there. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like a draw your own conclusion kind of thing. What the storyteller or what the movie, what Greta Gerwig was trying to get across, I don't fully understand.
Me neither. And I said to Amy as we were watching, I don't want to tell people I hate this movie because they're all going to think I'm a toxic male or, I hate feminism. It's not. I just hate the movie. It was poorly done. I am convinced they didn't have a script. They made everything up on the moment when the cameras were rolling, which is an amazing thing for an artist to be able to pull off. But Greta Gerwig is an actress. She's like a first time early movie maker. She's not this genius as far as I know. So either I was watching art or a poorly put together film.
I can't go so far as to say I hated the movie. I actually enjoyed the movie. It was a story. Yeah, it was certainly not the worst movie I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, definitely not the worst. And there were some funny jokes in it. And it was beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
Everything, like when they were dancing or some of the colors that were in the Barbie universe. I mean, it was a really pretty movie. So it had some merit.
Yeah, the only thing I could have done without was like I don't think Will Farrell needed to be playing the corporate CEO. I mean, like Will Ferrell was in there playing the same character he's played for the past 15 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it could have been better cast if not Will Ferrell, you know? And I like Will Ferrell. Don't come at me like I'm some kind of Will Ferrell like hater. I just think it's gotten tired. You know what I mean?
Well, the other thing I said to Amy, I said it's so much words, but there's no real like story here. Remember, they to get out of Barbie world, they skate, and then suddenly it appears that they're in Venice Beach, California. Like that's such lazy, shitty writing. And by the way, I'll even make a transition to what I'm watching. I'm watching that next season of What If, and
Oh, that's out? I didn't realize it was out
it's out. They're
already.
dropping an episode every day until December 30th. So if there's 12 episodes, they've
Oh.
been dropping them. So I'm caught up, and the show isn't for me as good as it was last year. And I feel like it might either be because I'm noticing this now, or it is something new that they're doing. It was also mentioned, I don't know if you watch Screen Crush as much as I do, but Ryan Airy had brought it up too. These Marvel movies, the problem with them is they're super plot driven and they're not character driven. Like you don't know the characters anymore. Everything is about this is what we got to do, but you don't get to invest in the characters. So when you love
Yeah.
Tony Stark, you love Captain America, you don't really get to hang out with Shang-Chi enough to fall in love with them. Now they're introducing a whole wave of new characters with this new What If, and it's just not working. And it's sad. But this might be the last thing that they've put out that has this style, I hope, because they're licking their wounds and learning from their past mistakes.
Well, I mean, I gotta say, they've just been throwing out like D-list superheroes that most people haven't even heard of. Like, who would expect like Ant-Man to take off? You know what I mean? Like that was like a hope and a prayer, you know? Like even Scarlet Witch, she was not a very strong comic book character. I mean, yeah, Lizzie Olsen came and played the role and made people care about it, and it was really the first Disney Plus show, and it was like, oh wow, this is really good. Unexpected things like that. Like those, but like they're killing those characters off. Those actors are moving on. They're tired of playing the same role, and they're not having new heroes to backfill for the losses and the people. It's like, well, who do we got left? Like even for stuff like what was it, like Infinity War, or what was the one where he snapped and or after the snap? Which one was that?
Endgame.
Okay, so with Endgame, they're like, okay, well, we need somebody to come in and do that. Who can do that? We're gonna get Doctor Strange. Okay, then Benedict Cumberbatch comes in, and people are kind of like, oh, he's a pretty cool character. But then it's just like, oh, we're gonna kill off Tony Stark. Okay, now who can we get to do that? Thor. Nah, Thor. He's with Hulk someplace. We can't get him this go around. Um, let's just bring in like these Guardians of the Galaxy that nobody's ever heard of, and then they hit gold with that because it was like again an unassuming comic book franchise that through the actors that they hired and probably through the story that they wrote or took from the comic books anyway, became something more than it was expected to be. And now I think they're just not capturing that lightning in the bottle anymore. So they have like Shang-Chi. They're bringing in Daredevil. They had She-Hulk. There were things that were like, huh, yeah, that's funny. We'll watch it for a season. They had Hawkeye, who was, again, not the strongest of the Avengers, but here's Jeremy Renner. He's around. We'll get him to do something. So, like, they even took characters from the comic book that played certain roles and swapped them out for somebody else because they either killed them off or had them in a story where canonically they were someplace else and not available to fill the role that they did in the actual comic book.
Yeah, I may have misstated what Ryan Airy was really saying. My point with it all is you have to find a way to balance character and plot. That's what those first movies did well. You know, you got to care
Yeah.
about these characters when shit was happening to them, but the plot was also moving along in a great way. Now it's like these crazy plots with these characters you don't care about. Today, the episode
Yeah.
that they dropped was I forget the title of it, but they introduced a brand new MCU hero that doesn't even exist. They made for the show. It was a woman, a Native American woman. I won't tell you, you could watch the episode, but she gets powers. And since they've never had a Native American woman, I guess in one of these shows, I guess they decided, and this is a very woke thing, right? Let's make one because we haven't had one before. Okay, if you do that, you still need to make a good story. You still need to make a good character. And I think that's where we're, learning that they leaned a little bit too much into politics and they couldn't keep up with the other half of it. They could do all these things for the characters, but they couldn't keep up with the good stories. Or they could, keep stories going, but they couldn't flesh out the characters. They got to get back to that balance. You can bring Native American characters in all you want, but you just got to make it good. You just got to make it good. And then everybody's happy and nobody's arguing about woke Disney or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, what if feels like that's not even the place to debut a new character, though? I mean, what if is like the playground where, or the sandbox or the toy box where you can do whatever you want with the existing characters that you introduced in different ways? And like, what if their origin story wasn't that? What if this person didn't die there? Do a Spider Man where what if Uncle Ben didn't die? Do a who the hell knows? Like they could do so much stuff with like they did what happens if it wasn't what if Peggy what's her name became Captain America? That was the whole thing. She was like Captain Britain last
Yeah.
season. What if zombie outbreak happened? Like all these things are like what if something happened to characters we already know and care about? This isn't like what if somebody that we don't know got powers one time and they happen to be a Native American woman? That's not what if really is been about.
Well, they did have an episode where they brought back Peggy Carter, did the Captain America thing, and that pissed me off too. And not because they tried to,
Why?
because I want more Captain America stories. I haven't even gotten enough of him. And they've already written him off and replaced him with somebody else. It drives me insane. It's like, at least when you're going to do this with like Miles Morales, Peter Parker doesn't go away. You get to go hang out with Peter. You get to hang out with Miles. I don't mind hanging out with Peggy as long as I get to hang out with Steve.
I understood that reference.
Okay.
Yeah, that's for me. But it's again, they're making so much out of these periphery characters, and that's why it's not working. They hit gold a couple times. Ant-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy. That's not the rule. That's luck. And that's a great director with a great vision. Some of these people you've been hiring as directors are not amazing directors. They sure as shit don't know how to make special effects movies. Like the director that made The Eternals. Like, she was an amazing director, but had no clue how to do these things with special effects. And the movie shows that she didn't know how to do anything with special effects.
Yeah. I thought they went too far in What If last season, where it was like, what if T'Challa became Star-Lord? Like, that was really far-fetched for me. I thought that was like two worlds that didn't need to collide, but
They went even worse here. They said, what happens if Nebula joined the Nova Corps? I don't give a shit about Nebula, and I don't even know about the Nova Corps, and all of this is stupid because it makes no sense. I mean, the thing that they were trying to do there was a old-fashioned kind of like detective storyline. So they were being cute with it. I'm okay with that. They can take stabs and do weird things like this. But again, who cares about those characters? Why did you pick them?
that's the whole thing. I mean, going back to what you said, like taking these off the wall characters and like, so let me ask you this, just to summarize. Is it to the point where you would still recommend watching What If, or is it something that's just like, do something better, and if you have nothing else to do, watch it? Or would it be just don't watch it at all?
No, I guess I'm saying watch it, but I'm just not into this kind of stuff. I mean, when Star Wars did it too with that Visions thing, and I tried to like it. I really tried. I watched a few episodes. They were all inspired by the Disney universe. I'm sorry, the Star Wars universe, but why? I'm not done with regular Star Wars.
Yeah, I thought it was cool to see different stuff in different anime styles, but you're right. Some of them were good, some of them were shit. I didn't hate it. It's just different flavor.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, again, I'm getting negative again.
So watch it, but don't expect much, is what you're saying.
I'm afraid it's just more of the thing that's been the problem with Marvel.
Okay.
But hopefully this is the last thing.
All right.
And then the new, regime takes over. The new future of Disney. I keep saying, yeah, you know what? With that Disney Plus, I now screw everything up. Sometimes I go into Disney Plus looking for Marvel. I click Disney. Sometimes I'm looking for Disney. I go to Marvel. Everything is getting jumbled in my damn head as I get older with these streaming apps. And now I'm bringing it over to the show.
Oh, boy.
All right. We need to just take a break. Everybody, I got to show you something great.
Oh.
This made me laugh so hard. We're moving into mailbag. My friend Jen sent us something that I got to play for you, but I need to set it up for you. All right. Thomas F. Wilson. Do you know who Thomas F. Wilson is?
I do not.
Thomas F. Wilson is the thespian who played Biff in Back to the Future.
Oh, yes.
So I'm not on TikTok. I think this was a TikTok thing. So Jen sent it over to me, and I said, you know what? I'm going to share this with the audience. I guess he plays ukulele. So you got to picture this. He's standing on stage. A guy is holding a microphone up to his mouth, and it's a big crowd of people.
When I'm flying in a plane or I'm on the street, there's a lot of friendly people that I like to meet. They shake my hand but never ask my name, and they start asking questions that are always the same. Hey, what's Michael J. Fox like? Nice. What's Christopher Lloyd like? Kinda quiet. What's Crispin Glover like? Unusual. Stop asking me the question. Went to the bar mitzvah of my nephew Josh. Now I'm not Jewish, but I like to nosh. Put on my yarmulke, started to pray. When the rabbi leaned over and I heard him say, hey, was that real manure? No, it wasn't. How was that DeLorean? A piece of garbage. Do those hoverboards really fly? It's a movie. Stop asking me the question. Yeah, welcome to my life. Can we take your picture? Come on, look mean. Would you call my friend a butthead on my video machine? No. Questions fill my head. I went to my doctor said, hey, what does a key grip do? Set up lights. What does the best boy do? Help the key grip. What does a producer do? I don't know. Stop asking me the question. You all hang out together. No, we don't. Not much. How's Crispin Glover? Never talk to him. Back to the Future 4. Not.
That's where it dies. Not happening. That's where the 60 seconds, whatever, of the TikTok clip right out. That made me laugh. I thought he was pretty funny doing that.
Where do you think this happened at? Like, what kind of setting is this?
It could be a convention, like a Comic-Con type of thing, and they always do these little things where they bring the celebrity up and he answers questions for 20 or 30 minutes. It looked like that kind of thing. But he actually answered some questions I didn't know. What does a best boy do? What is I didn't know what those were. All these years, I've seen those things, those titles and credits, and I never thought to ask, what do they do? Well, now I know. Thank you, Biff.
One thing we still don't know. The hell does a producer do?
I guess it depends on the producer.
I guess.
Speaking of which, I have a segment where a amazing producer / director was involved. And I can tell you that this producer, when he's a producer, he likes to come into the movies and he likes to massage them. He likes to say, yeah, I'm paying a lot of money to you, so you're going to do it my way, and he makes some changes. But he's such a great director / producer that everybody's happy to let him do it. Now, there's other cases where the producer comes in and he's an absolute nobody who doesn't have any creative talent at all, but he has money and he wants to interfere. But I'd like the producer, director roles of somebody like George Lucas, right? Or somebody like Steven Spielberg.
Okay. But I feel like the reason you would have that opinion of these people is because of the end product. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody came in and tried the same shit they did and had bomb results, you'd think they were an asshole.
Yeah, I think it's because they're great creatives. When they become the money people and they're still creatives, that's a win-win.
Okay, I hear you. Yeah, I agree. So what are we talking about here with these producers?
So what I want to do is actually segue us into the useless pop knowledge section, where we're going to talk about the movie Gremlins, which was produced by Steven Spielberg. And there's actually some Steven Spielberg, interfering going on in this movie. But good interfering.
He wasn't trying to put monkeys that stole a car in this one like he was with Goonies.
No, he didn't go that bananas.
Okay.
So what I wanted to do, Scott, was come up with 10 things that people didn't know about Gremlins. And everybody listen. We have found out that most people listen to us through Spotify. If you go to the Spotify app, I'm going to put a question up. I want to know if I have listed something here that you didn't know. In fact, I want to know more specifically, did you know any of these? Because I think these are really rare pieces of information about the movie Gremlins. It's time to learn, boys and girls.
All right, bring it.
Did you know the movie was shot in two different studios? Warner Brothers Studio in Burbank and Universal Studios in Hollywood?
I knew it was Universal Studios because that's where the swimming pool's at, where they have the swimming pool scene where they are in there multiplying. I knew that was like actually that happened in the exact same location, the same studio lot as where they have the Home Alone house and also the Christmas Vacation house.
All right, so you're actually teaching me something. My next thing was going to be, did you know that was the swimming pool that was used in Christmas Vacation when they were all playing in the pool and then the pretty girl in red jumps in. So I was like, whoa, that's crazy. I want to see how they do it. There's basically, from a satellite view, you can see in Universal Studios, there's a section that just looks like a little farmhouse and a little in-ground pool. And it's no frills. It's not even a farmhouse. It's probably more of just a regular house. And it's a set location. So for the Gremlins, and it's outdoors. So for the Gremlins, they must have put up a wall or two to make it look like it was a YMCA for Christmas Vacation. Because I'm this dorky, I went and looked at the scenes and said, how can this be the same pool? It's definitely the same pool because you can see by the ring around it. There's a certain like design flair to the top of it. It's an indoor pool, but it's, you know how indoor pools always have some decorative thing coming out of the top of the lip. So it's definitely the same pool. But in Christmas Vacation, they just put up a bunch of like fake trees behind the diving board. I love Hollywood magic.
Oh, man. I learned all this from Adam the Woo. Adam the Woo, actually, they're tearing down that studio. Like a lot of those houses are getting destroyed. So he got in there with like a studio, like a studio pass, like a filming pass. So he said he was like kind of preserving some of these houses and stuff in the swimming pool. And he actually showed like they have like a thing next to the pool where like for in-water shots, they can drop a camera down to get like a water level shot, like going across the surface level of the pool. So like it's actually, the pool's actually designed like on the lip of the pool to have cameras inserted and mounted and stuff like that. But it looked like it was an outdoor pool, actually. I don't think it was an indoor pool.
Oh, if I said indoor, I apologize. I meant in ground. Every time I said indoor, pretend
it's
an in-ground pool. Yeah. Not out. It's completely outdoors. I love that. I thought this was going to be super challenging and you almost got the first one like perfectly correct. But I'm going to have to watch that Adam the Woo thing because the more that I study these studios and the more that I get used to what is really filmed in a studio versus what is really filmed outdoors, it's getting easier. So we were watching this the other day, me and Amy, this was our Christmas movie and we're watching it and I'm like, damn, and it's leading right to my next bullet here. This area, Kingston Falls, which I always thought was some town. My entire life, I wondered what town that was. Was it a Pennsylvania town because it was so snowy? Turns out it was in Universal Studios lot on the soundstage.
Hollywood.
And now that I'm kind of aware of how they make movies a lot more, I'm looking at it and I go, you know what? This looks a lot like, what was it called? Twin Valley, the big center for Back to the Future. And sure enough, it was. Oh. So a year later, after Gremlins, they clean up all the snow. And that's where the clock tower is.
It's Hill Valley.
Hill Valley. Thank you. Twin Pines Mall. There's so many names in that movie.
Twin Pines. That's what you were thinking. Yeah.
Do you know in the original script, the Gremlins eat Billy's mom?
Really?
Yeah. It's a much, much darker story. It's an incredibly darker story. This movie, when it came out, was still a lot more horror than I think people were expecting. This was one of those movies that was fighting with the PG-13, not fighting with it, but getting the PG-13 rating because, they were starting to say at that time, it's a lot of movies that aren't quite R, but aren't quite PG. They show a little nudity. It might say the F word only once. Why don't we just give that a PG-13? This fell right into that time. So that's not the reason this movie got softer, though. We were talking about Steven Spielberg. He kind of came in and he's like, you guys, you've got this cute little Mogwai, Gizmo. You guys have him turning into Stripe. How about you don't do that and have Gizmo run around the entire movie? So the whole movie was changed. There was never supposed to be a Gizmo who was, the Gizmo that we came to know. Gizmo was supposed to turn into Stripe.
So he wasn't going to be like a Mogwai holdout. He was going to actually become the villain.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize.
And the end of the script actually had one of those kind of like catch endings where they put him in a box and they were like, all right, we got to remember to get him. And at the end it was like, oh no, what did we do with the last Mogwai? And here it's like at the bottom of a lake giggling because, it's going to come out and turn into Gremlins again. Yeah. Totally different movie. Totally different movie. The whole scene where the mom, which by the way, the mom's a badass. She was killing them Gremlins with like just no.
She's the one that put him in the microwave, right?
Yeah. Could you? My mom could never do that. She was amazing.
She did go pretty hardcore ninja there for a while. That one scene, man, she was like putting him in the toaster and had a knife and throwing him in the microwave. She was taking them out one after the next.
It was incredible. She had one at a headlock, giving it a noogie while with her feet. She was karate kicking another under the jaw. I mean, she was so good. And all of that was supposed to be Billy in the script.
because she would have been eaten at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, he goes up and he finds
That's
his dead
insane.
mother. Yeah. And then he fights the gremlins in the house.
Like there's certain scenes in that movie, like when they go up the stairs to the attic and see like all like the cabbage looking pods that the other gremlins like popped out of. Like that always freaked me out. Like I didn't eat Brussels sprouts for a while after seeing that scene.
They were great effects. Just watching this again and seeing the close up on the gremlins' faces and seeing those pods, like they were really, really good effects. At the end, when the gremlins melt, like, holy shit,
Yeah.
that looks great.
That's another scene that stuck with me, man.
We had a whole party. We watched part 2 afterwards, which is even sillier, but the special effects are great on that too. All right. So the scene where the gremlins watch Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was actually the first time Joe Dante, who's the director, has ever directed so many creatures. The crew had to use every single gremlin puppet they had. So when you watch that scene, that's all of them. I thought that was cool.
Wow. So they're all crammed in there one way or the other. Because some of them are just silhouettes against the movie screen. Like some of them they actually show singing along, but some of them are just like shot from the back. So they're all in there, huh?
Yeah. Supposedly every single puppet they had was like, it's showtime.
All puppets on deck.
Writer Chris Columbus. We owe him a lot as an American.
Yeah. Home Alone.
Writer Chris.
Goonies.
Discovering America. Wrote the original Gremlins script as a spec script. So he actually never expected this Gremlins thing to ever be made. It was a spec script intended more as a writing sample to showcase his talents. Again, never was supposed to be a movie. And somebody read the spec script and said, why don't we develop this into a movie? Okay.
Just a writing exercise for him, huh? That's wild.
That's it. Corey Feldman was in this movie.
Yeah.
Corey Feldman was involved in filming another movie at the same time as Gremlins. During the production of Gremlins, Feldman was also working on what, Scott?
I don't know. Don't tell mom the babysitter's dead?
No, he definitely wasn't working on that because he's not in it.
Oh.
Friday the 13th, the final chapter.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, you're not a... Actually, you have seen all of them, but probably not remembering all the details.
Certainly not the number or the title.
Yeah.
Maybe the 4th or 5th one. Like, that's about how I know Friday the 13th.
Well, he would have to leave on shooting days from Gremlins to go do his scenes for Friday the 13th. And he was in he was in the one previous, right? So he wasn't in which one is the final chapter is 5 or is it 4? Jason lives, then Jason's back, then Jason's back again, part 8. I forget them all, man. I'm such a bad
you're
fan.
asking the wrong guy.
I'm going to have to catch up on it. All right. So I think this was the 4th one. I got it wrong. Who fucking knows? Anyway, there's probably a scene where you see Corey Feldman and then he has to get up and run to the other set and then film a scene for Friday the 13th. I just thought that was neat that there could be the chance of seeing one actor in 2 scenes in 2 different movies filmed on the same day. So I reached out to Corey Feldman on Twitter and I asked him. Didn't respond.
No. I mean, if Michael J. Fox could do Family Ties and do Back to the Future at the same time, like, that seems like a greater feat, don't you think?
Yeah, I guess I didn't think that maybe Michael J. Fox was leaving the set after being Alex P. Keaton and then having to switch gears and go into, was he doing that?
Oh, he very much was, yeah.
Then there you go. Okay, so we don't need you, Corey.
Yeah, that's why he wasn't originally playing Marty. That's why it was originally, what's
Eric
his name?
Stoltz,
Eric Stoltz, yeah.
Rocky from Mask.
Right. That's how I know him, Rocky from The Mask, yeah.
Was he in anything else but that?
I don't know, but like, yeah, at first Eric Stoltz had the role and they were like, yeah, this isn't really the guy we want, but Michael J. Fox is already booked doing this other thing. He was finally like, okay, you know what? If I can have these concessions, I'll do both at the same time. And he literally was going, sometimes pulling 14, 16-hour days, going from one set to the other set for Family Ties and for Back to the Future.
It's a lot of work for a kid. Although, how hard is acting?
I don't know, man.
I mean, I'd rather be a kid actor than work in the fryer at McDonald's.
Yeah, good point. You get paid a lot better, that's for sure.
Let me tell you about Hoyt Axton. Hoyt Axton, who played Billy's father.
That's a name.
Yeah, I know. Why wasn't I named Hoyt? Bill. Hoyt Axton, who played Billy's father, wasn't initially considered for the role. He was brought in more for his soothing storytelling voice. But then they heard him and they were like, listen, we need you to be more than just a narrator. You're going to be the dad now.
Oh, wow. That's an upgrade.
Yeah. Hoyt was like, oh, I got some stupid, shitty little role. I'm like, guess what? We're expanding it. I think he's great in the movie. I don't know that I've seen him in anything else, but he's great in that movie. Rand Peltzer,
Yeah.
the bathroom buddy.
Rand Peltzer. Fantastic ideas for a fantastic world.
All right, and here's my last one. The inspiration for Gizmo's appearance isn't officially confirmed as being a specific dog breed, but the intention to make him look cute and endearing is accurate. He was designed based on dogs.
Yeah, I could see that.
Really? I thought that was kind of weird. It was like, why didn't you go with like a three-toed tree sloth or something that was a little bit more of that size? I didn't think a dog would be what they'd be referencing, but okay. Gizmo was based on a dog.
Yeah, I think you're really underestimating the size of a tree sloth. Those things are pretty huge.
I may be. Not the smartest on tree sloths.
I mean, I'm surprised you picked that one out because of its size, because they're bigger than most dogs are. I mean, like, I'm thinking like a toy poodle or like a miniature chow or something. Like, the only thing different between a mogwai and a dog is that, like, mogwai has like a no snout, almost more like a pug would be, or like a shih tzu or something like that.
All right. I guess if you're thinking about those dogs, I never think about those dogs.
Yeah.
Because those dogs don't have noses. A dog's supposed to have a long nose.
Right.
I don't know what those are.
They're horribly inbred mutations to give people the pleasure dogs that they want.
Well, we got one more segment coming up, Scott. This would be your segment. I forgot to announce it in the beginning.
Oh, yeah, we really didn't talk about what we're talking about today.
It'll be in the title, so.
Yeah, there's no spoilers here. I mean, you know what the fuck you signed on for.
Nonsense.
So, looking ahead, fucking absurdity and two assholes talking because they've been off for a week. They've been off for 2 weeks and too fucking pent up. They can't shut up.
This show's actually been recording for 3 hours. We're only going to use the last half hour of it.
That's not too far off the mark. New Year's is right around the corner, and, everybody talks about New Year's resolutions and things like that. And, I'm not asking for people to tell me what their New Year's resolution are, but I thought this would be a good time of year for self-reflection. And I'm not asking people to tell me their sins or their regrets or anything like that, but I did devise a 20-question quiz here that's going to be almost like a morality/personality/ethics test, and you and I are going to take it, Bill.
Oh, no. You're going to learn about the real me? Do I have to answer honestly?
I mean, it's an ethics test. You can do what you want, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, I have 20 questions. And like, for example, it'll be like, add a point if you yada, yada, yada. Add 2 points if you done this.
Killed a man.
Maybe subtract a point. Maybe subtract a point if you done this. Things like that. So you think you're up to keeping score here?
Oh, I have to keep score. That's a big ask. I'm not the person you give the paper and the pencil to at mini golf. I will not get it right.
Well, I'll say this. I'll keep score for you, but then you have to fess up and come clean with exactly which is which here.
All right.
So I'll play along too. And it's not hard math. I mean, you can keep your shoes on here. Like, I'm not asking you to do any kind of quantum physics, but and we'll go slow for you. But we'll edit it a little bit faster. At the end, all I want to know is your total score, and I'll tell you my total score.
And for you listening at home, we intentionally keep these things vague for the other one to try to chump them on air. And I feel like I'm about to get chumped.
No, you can disclose if you want or not, or some of these are pretty mild mannered, not too shocking things. Some of them are a little bit more spicy. I encourage the listeners to play along. I want to hear what your numbers are. So this is where it's going to get really fun. I want to hear who got the most fucked up honest number. So here we go. Plus 1 point if you've ever eaten a coworker's lunch out of the fridge.
You want the answer or do you want me to just hold it?
No, you just write it down. Pretty mild mannered. I don't think that's the worst thing somebody can ethically do, right? Plus 1 if you've ever knowingly broken the law. Plus 2 if you were convicted of that crime.
Oh, no.
All right. Plus 1 if you suffer from road rage.
Now or before or ever?
I mean, it's open for interpretation. Do you feel you've become like a road rage convert here? Or,
I have. Oh yeah, I used to be terrible on the road.
Good.
Now I'm older. I don't even speed, and I laugh at myself. I'm like, God, you used to yell at your dad for driving so damn slow, and now you're driving slow. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want a ticket.
All right, here we're getting a little spicier. +3, if you've ever cheated on someone while in a committed relationship. Ooh. And +2, if you got caught.
My wife's going to listen to this.
However, -2 if this relationship was toxic or abusive. All right, ready to move on?
Yes.
+2 if you've lied more than 5 times today. -1 if a lie was to prevent hurting someone's feelings. So if it was like no, it doesn't make you look fat. If that's one of your lies and it was to make somebody else feel good, we'll give you a -1 for that.
The white lie.
The white lie. Yeah, exactly. All right, +1 if you've used a racial or pejorative slur in the past month.
A slur is when you're calling somebody something, so it's got to be like an aggressive thing, like calling somebody when you're.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Now, +2 if that slur was directed at an individual with an intent to hurt them. All right, ready to move on?
Mm-hmm.
+10 if you've knowingly injured or attempted to kill or harm someone.
Oh my God, you really did go here.
Oh, yeah.
Harming someone with intent to kill, +10?
Yes, +10. -3 if this was in self-defense.
Who's going to say it wasn't?
That's between you and your lawyer, man. +1 if you believe substance use has negatively impacted a relationship in your life. +1 if you've lied on a resume or a job interview to land the job or get a gig.
I'm lucky you didn't need +1s for every time I did it.
No, this is just one covers all.
Trying to win this game, get the most points I can.
+3 if you dislike someone for what they are rather than who they are. So to give some explanation for that, you don't like that person because they're
An asshole.
black or because they're white. No, they could be an asshole, and that's a reasonable reason to, like, if they're an asshole because of who they are and what they spout off. Like, this is more like, oh, I don't like that person because they're Democrat or because they're Republican or because they're straight or because they're gay. Like, that's what they are, not necessarily who they are.
Gotcha.
You could be any of those things and still be an asshole, and that's who you are. And you have earned the right to be disliked in that case.
Yeah.
All right. +1 if you've ever stolen from anyone. And plus another one if that person you stole from was family. +1 if you've ever knowingly cheated on your taxes. +2 if you've fraudulently posted things on social media to inflate your image or ego.
Only 2? Oh,
Only 2.
that's what social media is for.
Plus another 2 if you've knowingly posted fake news online to perpetuate bullshit stories.
Ooh.
And that's all 20 questions.
Well, I got 21, so I'm not exactly sure how I screwed this up. But I warned you.
I warned 21. Well, no, you can get okay, let me look at this here. So the total score, if you had no subtractions, would be 37.
So I scored 15.
I scored 5.
You're a nicer guy. You're a better man than me. Although I was happy I was putting 0 down or no on a lot of these. I was like, oh, good. Oh, my God. All right.
Well, it's not good. It's not bad. This isn't for me to try and out you on something. This is for you to take maybe a little bit of a personal inventory. It's not even like, oh, my score, your score, one's better, one's worse. People live different lives. And the whole point of the new year, and the reason I came up with this for a New Year's show, again, I really want people to play along, but if you're looking at some of these things and you're saying yes when you wish you didn't say yes, and you're adding points when you wish you were adding zero, now's the time of year to maybe make some resolutions and change your ways and take a look at yourself and maybe clean it up if you're unhappy with it. You like not liking people for what they are. Hey, keep going about doing it. I'm not the one to say I'm not going to be your friend and I'll like you for what you are, which is a racist, bigoted asshole. But that's not what you are. That's who you are. I'm happy with where I'm at. I'm in a clean spot. I'll live with 5 points. Some of the points I gave myself credit for are going back quite a few years. Like I'm not stealing from anybody presently, but yeah, man. I hope you play along at home. I'd love to hear what some other people's scores are. If you can beat 15, yeah, don't tell me how. Just I'd like to hear it. So I welcome anybody to chime in and play along and make those resolutions if you have to.
What if somebody sends you like 60? You're going to know they killed somebody.
Well, then they did it for each murder because the highest you can get, again, without any deductions, like, yeah, I cheated on that bitch. And no, it wasn't a toxic relationship. Like, if you're not getting any negatives, the best you can do is 37. Or I guess the worst you can do is 37. So 37 would be a perfectly questionable score.
I'm pretty competitive. Now I want to know why you only got a 5 and I got 15.
Well, he would have to come clean with what your answers were to know the difference.
I'll come clean. I don't mind. I was a weirdly good kid until my 20s, until I found rock and roll, got into rock bands, and then it was Motley Crue for about 10 years. So a lot of that was like, all right, you live in the day, you live in the time, you do what they do, and you grow up. Now it's 2023, and a lot of these answers aren't answers that I would give now, but they are things I had to give honest answers to. But as we were going through it, yeah, if you meant these are like today, this year, I fucked it up.
No, I was talking full time. I was talking long term because some of my answers were like, I didn't eat anybody's food out of the fridge in the past year at work, but damn, I remember one time a few years back, that General Tso's chicken looked pretty damn good. And I ate somebody's lunch out of the fridge. I did that once.
I've never done that. You just said, hey, this guy's just going to get his lunch eaten. Did you ever steal from your parents? I never did that. Wasn't that one of them?
No. Did you ever steal from anyone and then plus another one? So 2 points if you stole from family. I didn't do anything like
I never
that.
Can think of stealing. Right. You borrow. You say, hey, buddy, can I borrow that?
Right.
There's plenty of things that I borrowed and forgot to give back. So technically, I should put more points on here.
No, I mean, I think a lot of this is like intent. Like if your intent was to borrow this, like if you're going to pull a Homer Simpson and borrow like Ned Flanders' new TV table with knowing full well you were never going to return it, then that's stealing. Like there's intent there. But like if the true intention was to borrow it and then you lost track of time and nobody ever asked for it, no shit, I forgot I had that. Like that wasn't stealing. That was just, there was no intent there.
Remember Homer gave Marge a bowling ball for Christmas with Homer written on it? So she's like, oh, can I borrow that when I go bowling? Yeah, I think that's why you bought it for me.
Yeah, there was intent there. That was his plan all along.
Well, I was pretty happy to do this and go, you know what, man? And you know my background. You know what I've been through in life. And I'm looking at this going, hey, I did pretty damn good. I'm happy with my 15. I'll be honest.
There you go, man. So you're still starting that new year with a positive note and you can feel good about it. Maybe you thought you were going to do worse.
I did think I was going to do worse. I was scared. I was like, what are we going to do here? What if it's an 80?
Yeah, you had no idea where these questions were going. I told you I kind of pitched the idea where like this could either be really fun, really telling, or it can get really dark really quick. And you really didn't know where I was going to go with it. And even I had like a slight idea what I was thinking, but I didn't know how I was going to go with it. But this is what I came up with. And, I think it really takes a look at different sections of someone's life, like working and online image and family and relationship and, a little bit of substance piece was in there. There's like a lot of different factions in your life because you can look really good in one area and be like a real fucking dirtbag in another area. So like this takes like a pretty holistic view to balance out and give what I think is a pretty quick snapshot of questions I would ask somebody if I was trying to get to the nitty gritty of who they are and what they're about.
And if you intentionally put fake news out there, go take it off. There's so much fake news on the goddamn internet still to this day. Every day I read something, I go, that's not right. That can't be right. That's so vague, it can't be right.
We say that knowing full well that we have passed along some fake news stories on here. And with that, Bill, what do you have in the news this week?
Well, I have a correction to some fake news that I put out.
Ah, shit.
Let me find it.
Going back to intent, though, when we initially shared this story, we did not know it was fake news. We weren't perpetrating a bullshit story, hence fuck-upperies, hence redactions, and hence this correction.
Well, I got to be a little bit more clear about a story I gave before about Kiss. Remember I said that Kiss, the band, they performed their last show?
With their avatars now?
So I was saying that it's going to be like live avatars going forward. I'm not so sure anymore. So I watched a program the other day where it was 20 minutes of everybody talking with the band, and the band's talking about their legacy and why they're doing this. And, you know, they can't wait to see it. We're all going to see it together. And when I tell you, dude, it was like a 60-second clip that looked like maybe they made the Kiss Mortal Kombat game. It looked like cutscenes between Mortal Kombat if Kiss characters were in there. And it's just them standing on a screen, kind of just like singing to the tracks that are already recorded. And the band sitting there looking at this and pretending to marvel, but probably going, this is how we're going to make money going forward. So because I was looking that up, I'm getting all kinds of Kiss articles. And Ace Frehley, the guitar player of the band, the original guitar player, he was kicked out of the band. You know, he was kind of a wild guy, drinking way too hard, wouldn't show up to guitar sessions. They eventually had other guitar players play his parts and just didn't tell anybody. And now it kind of comes out. And I was always wondering, does this guy, because he had that makeup and he designed his own makeup, since he's not in Kiss anymore, does he get any money from Kiss? And an article just came through. I read Guitar World magazine, and it came through, and they asked him, they said, do you get any money for that makeup? And he goes, yeah, I do. Anytime Kiss ever does anything where they use my makeup, I actually get paid for it. How about that for a sweet gig? You get to retire off Kiss money.
He was the star child. He had like the celestial.
He was the spaceman. He's a guitar player. Yeah.
Spaceman, right.
Oh, they were so corny. But I love that he's still getting paid, like just because of that. So forever and ever, he won't be able to be on stage with them ever again, but he'll be paid. He'll be paid. Don't you worry. Well, that was just a quick update there. But really what we could talk about is the new Batman stuff they're doing.
I'm Batman.
Are you caught up on some of the things they're doing with Batman in the James Gunn universe?
No, is this live action stuff or is this animated stuff?
Live action stuff. So you know that there's the Matt Reeves Batman.
Yes.
Okay, so you know who he is. He's not the guy that did anything in the Snyderverse. He had his own, what's that guy's name? Pattinson?
Robert Pattinson, yes.
Robert Pattinson Batman. Okay, so James Gunn is confirming that Matt Reeves is not only working on expanding his The Batman universe, and I think that's the Pattinson one,
yes,
but also developing a series set within the new DC universe. DC Studios co-head is answering more fan queries on social media and confirmed that Reeves is producing an Arkham series set in the Batman universe within the new world Gunn and Peter Safran are developing. A fan asked Gunn on Threads. Threads is like the Twitter version of Instagram. I know you're not a big social guy, me neither. I don't know why Instagram decided at some point we need a Twitter. I don't know if anybody's using it. A fan asked Gunn on Threads, well, there's two people using it, if Reeves was working on more projects in the Batverse aside from the Batman Part 2, the Penguin series, and the Arkham series. We're getting kind of crazy now. There's going to be so much different Batman stuff. I know about the Penguin show, but is that part of the...
Yeah, that's coming out on Max.
So I guess now they're saying that's the other Batman. So there's going to be two parallel Batman universes like there already are. But they're just going to erase the Snyderverse and start the Snyderverse over again.
But I don't see how that works because that Penguin was the same Penguin that was in the first Robert Pattinson movie, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that played by Colin Farrell?
Yeah, so it's weird. He's like working two different Batman universes.
Why? Why not just simplify DC? I mean, Jesus Christ. When will you learn your lesson? Like, it doesn't seem that hard. I feel like you're making it a lot more difficult than this has to be.
And don't forget, the Joker 2 is still coming out, so that's even more Batman, and that's, you know, not what we're talking about here, but that's a whole nother Batman.
That's a whole different Batman, because that's Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn with Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, which has no connection to any of this bullshit.
Another fan asked for clarification about the Arkham series set in the new DCU Gunn and Safran are working on, called Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. So I guess that's the name that they're giving the first wave. I guess they're doing waves. Like how Marvel does, you know, what do they call theirs?
Phases.
Phases, yeah.
Okay. I don't think we're off to a great start here, Saffron.
Or Gunn.
Either of you. Wasn't like our 5th episode, like, Let Me Fix It For You, James Gunn? Wasn't like episode 5?
Yeah.
That was like a year ago.
Yeah.
And I think we still hit it out of the park better than this bullshit sounds.
I heard he was really upset about that episode.
Oh, I hope he was. He should have taken better notes.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not a listener anymore. So we'll say bad shit about you, James Gunn.
You know what else is happening? That fucking Aquaman 2's coming out finally that nobody cares about because it's not going to connect to anything.
Yeah, and I heard it had like a gag secret ending because everyone was like, well, how are they going to, jump off this diving board? Where are they going to go? And they just fucking flushed the toilet and did a jokey ending. I heard that since I'm not a big fan of Amber Heard, I watched that entire Johnny Depp trial and I'm Team Johnny. So I heard she has 20 minutes and 11 lines. So she still made it into the movie.
Oh, I heard that they were going to cut her all out. She was still in there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, apparently. All right, here's my last story. So this one's from Deadline. Taraji P. Henson says she fired her entire team for not capitalizing on the success of her Empire character. So why am I sharing this one? We don't talk about Empire. We're not really watching Empire. But I'd love that she was like, wait a minute. I was the biggest thing for a hot minute. Why all of a sudden am I not the biggest thing? The show ends and people have forgotten me already. So I tend to think about celebrities sitting in their ivory towers, just like, the world is so perfect. That phone keeps ringing. Maybe one day I'll answer it because it's all full of opportunity for me. You know what I mean? So to hear this side of it, where it's like my PR team didn't keep on going while the iron was hot, that reminds me so much of marketing, what I do for a living. It's like you get a company sort of going, you get some heat, you don't stop. You got to keep on going. Like it's called getting the flywheel going. Once that flywheel starts going, you're world famous and you couldn't do any wrong. So they didn't do that with her. They dropped the ball. So she fired everybody and she talks about it on a podcast. So kudos for being that open and telling us that kind of stuff because you never get to hear those kind of stories.
I mean, that show wrapped up in 2020. Like, it's not like it's a recent thing. I mean, that was 3 years ago.
She says, firing everybody after Cookie. Yeah, everyone had to fucking go. Where is my deal? Where's my commercial? Cookie was at the top of the fashion game. Where's my endorsement? What did you have set up for me after this? That's why y'all haven't seen me in so long. They had nothing set up.
You know what's funny about this? It kind of does tie back to something that's part of our world. You know who else was like the top billed character in Empire?
Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard. So, yeah, Terrence Howard leaves the Iron Man series to be replaced by Don Cheadle, and he goes on to Empire. And what's he done since then? Like, Empire was like a place where people have gone to be forgotten. And it was really hot for a moment. The only thing I remember from Empire was that Jussie Smollett did that fake 911 call to say that he was being beat up for being gay. And then it became like a whole big fake thing. Remember?
Yeah, I remember that guy. Okay, so that was that show. Right.
Yeah,
right,
he was like the third billed character in that show. But like, that's what I remember from Empire. Like he called in that whole fake 911 and was charged with filing a fake police report and that kind of shit. And like, meanwhile, the two main stars, like, she's right. Taraji P. Henson's like, I don't remember or I haven't seen her since. And this thing's been off the air for the past 3 years.
She hired the wrong team.
Dude, don't overestimate your fame, I guess.
Yeah. Because it did turn on a dime because I haven't seen her. She's right. I was seeing her. She was on Saturday Night Live at one point. I remember catching her. Like all of a sudden she was everywhere. Now you're right. Nowhere. Oof. The cookie was eaten.
I mean, I'm sure the strike didn't do her any favors, but everybody was on strike. So it's not like she just couldn't have rebounded after that, right?
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. How much of her team couldn't help or couldn't figure out how to help? Maybe there's something there. I don't know. Who knows?
Hopefully she got a better team. Either that or she should get a job in being a magician because she fucking disappeared.
Hocus pocus.
Poof, it's gone.
All right, well, that is the last story. I don't got nothing else to say. It's been a nice time coming back here and talking to you again.
Good catching up. It was a good time. It was a good week off. And happy 2024.
Happy 2024. Everybody, we need to see your scores. We need to know what kind of riffraff we have listening to us. We don't get good analytics data, so this is how we're going to get it. And don't forget, check out the Spotify. Put up a note there when you see the little thing that says, did you know any of the things Bill shared? I'm curious if you knew them or not, because I actually thought they were pretty deep cuts. I need to know if I have to do better next time.
Also, don't forget to check out Useless Pop Culture Knowledge on YouTube, because we got some new videos coming up there. And yeah, again, fun, pointless pop culture facts you may not have known, so we want to share it with you.
And if this segment actually comes out good, I'll take this one and put it up on YouTube as well with some good visuals. Why not? People seem to like that stuff.
Well, once again, everybody, thanks for listening. Tell a friend. Please, as Bill said, play along with the quiz here. I want to see some scores and just see, again, what kind of deviants we have out there.
God, I hope we get some hundreds.
Get